All right, folks, it's time for, it's almost time for our favorite podcast. And now it is because I got my glasses on, my signature move. Cut to the Chase podcast. All right, it's like 2022. We had climate change blowing up the whole planet. Then we got thrown a pandemic. I don't know, 5 million people dying. Then we get Ukraine. I mean, are we in a world war? Gas price. I think I saw gas prices somewhere like $9 a gallon. So I'm sitting here, I'm dry. I'm like, I'm reading that the governments are forcing electric vehicles. Manufacturers are saying they're going to phase out their internal combustion cars by whatever 2030, 2035. So it's happening. Although I did a little research, 3% of the cars that were purchased in America last year were only 3% were electric vehicles. But I believe that is going to skyrocket. And I got a Tesla and I love it. It's the only car I've ever loved or whatever. Anyway, so I'm thinking to myself, well, gee, is this going to affect my insurance rates? Like, does an electric vehicle affect? And then I said to myself, well, I don't know the answer, but I know who does. So without further ado, here's Jon Singer. How are you doing today?
Hello, Greg. How are you on this surreal day?
I'm taking it one step at a time. Happy
Yes.
to have one extra breath. I know.
There you go. I think I saw what you were describing in a really bad dystopian movie, and I didn't. So it's look, every day is a gift. I think one of the gifts, just to segue into this subject, is that we have the ability to become an energy independent just by converting over to electric cars, even though the demand is very high and the materials are very high in cost. But I think ultimately we're going to be all electric or mostly electric at some point in the next 5 years, 10 years.
And I'm hoping, that I'm extremely optimistic guy. I'm looking for one silver lining with this whole Ukraine thing, and maybe this is going to speed us off of fossil fuels, electric vehicles, solar, wind.
Right. Well, it's definitely making us consider it more as an option. Every time we get sticker shocked at the pump, we always say, okay, I'm going to save gas. I'm going to do this. I'm going to carpool. I mean, all of that's fine, and you should conserve, no question about it. And you should carpool. That's a Band-Aid. So what are you doing as a permanent, semi-permanent solution? And if you can get a plug-in at some point and you can afford it, wonderful. At some point, it's going to be available to the masses, just like how Ford did it. Ford, in fact, they have, now I'm not a spokesperson for Ford, Greg, but they have the Ford Lightning coming out, and it's supposed to be a total game changer. So for the whole industry, the question is, you mentioned Ukraine. Many of the materials are coming from, which are lithium and nickel. They come from Ukraine, Russia. And so the batteries that these components go into are getting very, very expensive. And just one fun factoid, Greg, because you like fun factoids, right?
Yes.
Batteries on average cost about $7,500 to $15,000 to replace. Most of the electric vehicles have an 8 to 10 year warranty for the battery. Now, Greg, I understand you drive an electric vehicle.
Yes, I do.
And without going into the brand, do you have a warranty that covers you for 8 to 10 years?
I don't think, maybe for my knees, I have like that kind of warranty, but I don't know. I just assumed that it was like, I'm leasing. So I'm assuming that I got the warranty through the lease.
You want to double check that, because it's all connected here. What it boils down to is, if you have, let's just say, a car accident with the as a result of a battery fire, God forbid. Okay. Well, the proximate cause is the battery failure. Okay. And let's say you caused an accident. Well, first of all, the batteries are very expensive. Insurance companies, and that's probably not a great claim scenario, but let's just say, I mean, any number of scenarios. The fact is that these electric cars, they run probably 60 to 70,000 just for an entry point. Would that be accurate?
I'm I don't know that, I don't think it's that high, but
Okay,
maybe now, but when I got
okay,
my car, it was lower, significantly lower.
okay, okay. So what's going to happen here is with regard to insurance, because that's what Greg asked me to talk about today. With regard to insurance, just off the top, it's going to be about 15% higher to insure an electric vehicle than a conventional vehicle. And why I started alluding to the fact that these materials, these batteries, especially, because that's all you're essentially driving is a big, big battery. That's a good chunk of the expense right there. And so the insurance companies have to price that in for purposes of the limits and how much they'll pay for your vehicle, and God forbid something happens to it. And of course, you want to make sure, at least on the factory side, that you're covered as much as possible, because if you ever, God forbid, got into a situation where the battery malfunctioned, well, you're going to have to make sure that you have warranty coverage for that. And I would do that anyway, regardless. I would check all ends just to make sure I'm covered as much as I possibly can. So with regard to insurance premiums, because electric cars are pretty new to the market still, even though they've been around for a while, the masses haven't enjoyed them yet. And because the insurance companies don't have a way of quantifying the data yet on claims, you like that word, Greg, quantify?
Yes, that is. It's,
So for
I
their
do. Yes, I do.
right, so for their actuaries, they have to develop data predictions, I guess, scenarios. They have to figure how much are they going to really be able to charge the masses in 5 years based on their claim data. So they look at all of these things. And right now, car insurance for electric vehicles is about 15% higher. It's because you have to factor in the cost of the vehicle and everything else. So the long and short is that, yes, premiums are more expensive, but they will flatten out over time as more people adopt and get religion, so to speak, and start driving around electric cars, which are actually demonstrated to be a lot safer than combustible engines.
All right, so let me just take a half a step back. First of all, this is Jon Singer. He's my
Yes.
insurance savant, okay? And whenever I have insurance questions, because that's sort of my bread and butter, insurance claim attorney, mass tort attorney. I need my go-to guy. That's Jon Singer. So when on my show notes today, I'm not going to run through. John does all the insurances, car, home, everything you can think of already. So at the end of if you're like interested in talking to him, I'm gonna, at the end of my show, I'm gonna type up the show notes, and I'm gonna put a link to him. So I'm not gonna go through his whole, with the name of his company and all that. You can find that out on the show notes. Okay. All right. So my first question was, you asked and answered it. That's one of the lawyer's favorite objection: asked and answered. I didn't even have to. That's why I love it. At some one point, you're going to do the show for me. I'll be your guest, right? We're moving in that direction. I can see.
We could be like the team of Kreskin and Kreskin.
Is that with a K or a C?
A K. Remember Kreskin on the Ed Sullivan Show and the
You're
Tonight Show?
dating yourself. You're dating yourself.
Well, no, that's a story I heard from you way back
No,
when.
no,
You sure?
that was another podcaster. I
Hey,
thought,
by the way, I'm wearing my Dolphin shirt in honor of you.
look at that. Look at that. That's outstanding. That's outstanding. Okay, we have two more questions. So now
Yes.
I got my, electric vehicle, and people I got to believe right now, some people are like, holy shit, look at the price of gas. Maybe I should buy that electric vehicle because I'll save money. But now you're hearing from you that, well, all right, maybe you'll save money at the gas pump, but, because you could charge at your house or whatever, but you're going to pay a little bit more insurance now. And maybe over the course of time, we'll get back. Because I really thought that it would be less moving parts. I mean, the internal combustion has like a gazillion parts, and the electric vehicle is a battery and whatever. All right, question two.
Big computer you're driving around, right?
Exactly. It's software. It's not whatever, hardware, whatever. All right, question number two. Now you're so cool. You're like, oh my God, I got an electric vehicle. And then you're like, wow, where am I going to charge it? So you put in, you install an EV charging station at your house, or maybe you're lucky and you can do it in your condo or your apartment. And you have homeowners insurance. So I guess we're going to go with a condo or your house. Is that going to have any effect on your homeowners insurance?
I don't think it's, well, here's the question. I guess what you're trying to get at. These types of chargers should be relatively safe to use. Hopefully they're approved, usually they have like a certification like Underwriters Labs, UL listing, or if it's not, it's going to be certified in some way. There's certain standards these have to comply with, these types of chargers that just go right into your plug, into your socket. Now, the question is, are insurance companies going to price that in? They would only really price it in if it was like a known fire hazard.
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know if they know that, and I don't think they believe that, because why on earth would we be charging up? I've never heard of I will tell you that I haven't heard very many stories about problems with electric cars, but one story I have not heard is the battery or the car exploding in the garage. Can you leave it unattended? I don't know that question. Greg, you would better know, but I know there's charging stations, at least in the Tri-County area here in South Florida. As far as hooking it up to your garage, the question should really be, are you maintaining all of the possible safety guidelines in getting that installed, whether it's professional or if you use it for home use? And then are you doing it in a safe manner? Because ultimately, if there's a fire caused by that charging device, it could be a claim mess. And the reason why I say that is because either you're overloading the circuit and you're causing a fire, either there's a defect with the actual, or there could be a defect with the actual charging implement, whatever that might be. So it could be the insurance company points their finger to the manufacturer and says, too bad, you got to go to the manufacturer to try to recoup all that damage and replace your vehicle and the charging system. So as far as the insurance companies are concerned right now, they don't, but they're pricing it definitely into the auto insurance. For homeowners insurance, I have not seen any questions on an application as it pertains to electric vehicles. Because really they're only talking about the structure of the house. Obviously, if you connect something to the house, then you could be liable or not. It depends. That's really my answer.
Okay. All right.
That's a very long-winded answer, by the way. I apologize. It's a very interesting subject, and I don't know how much the insurance companies are really thinking about this stuff right now.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to go with probably not as the answer.
Probably not at this point. If you start seeing a lot of stories where a charging, implement device starts having problems, then the manufacturer would probably have a protocol for a recall, plus the car companies too. Yeah. So it would be, they could be on the hook, because ultimately you could be using their proprietary device that comes with the car.
Yeah. All right.
Right.
Yeah. All right. That's why I brought you on here. I mean, I'm supposed to be asking you questions. Third and final question. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is sort of along the same lines of, all right, now there are some people that are getting electric vehicles. Well, first of all, in my opinion, I'm no car expert, but I think it's a superior vehicle. I mean, I've had 10 vehicles in my lifetime, and this car is so better than any vehicle I've ever had. It's not even close, but that's a whole different discussion. I don't want to get, I know some people are like internal combustion till the end of time, but now some people are buying these electric vehicles because they're trying to save the planet. All right. Or at least help. And, I applaud that and all that. But then you get the vehicle and then you realize, hey, I mean, it's not emission free because I'm sitting here and charging it. So I'm using electricity. And then people are like, wow, now I'm hearing if I get solar panels on my roof, I could, the whole thing could be, emission free. Maybe even I kick off some energy to my neighbors. So what if I install solar panels? Is that going to increase my homeowner's premium? What do you think?
No, it shouldn't increase your homeowner's insurance premium if you have solar panels affixed to your roof in a way that's compliant with the way the roof was put together, they were inspected, all of that stuff. You've done all of the proper inspections, safety protocols, pulled the right permits, yada yada. And some people don't pull permits and they just put them on the roof. Now, generally speaking, homeowners insurance won't necessarily price in solar panels because they're just not abundant yet. Where with on a lot of homes now, what I will say though, with regard to affixing that to your home, now as a general rule, if it is servicing the premises, then it is part of your structure. Conceivably, what that means is that the insurance company could be on the hook if you have a loss. So let's say your roof gets ripped off, you lose the solar panels too. The insurance company could be on the hook. But I would always say that with a caveat because I don't make claim determinations. And the best thing that you can do as a homeowner is shore up your home as best as you can. Make sure that it's inspected annually. If you have a roofer that comes out every year, make sure they inspect it. Make sure that if you're going to have any solar panels installed, that they're done in a way where it meets the smell test, basically, because you're doing the right thing by helping, trying to conserve energy and trying to become as energy independent as possible. Now, by the way, you mentioned something about emissions. I will say with batteries, this is not to throw shade at batteries, but batteries do give off some gases, especially when you're charging. So you do want to, that's another thing that we don't know yet, if you're exposed to any possible other chemicals with regard to batteries. I mean, I think at this point they're getting to a point where they're getting very, very safe. And the issue is going to be one of materials going forward. You mentioned the Ukraine-Russia war, and we may have to source those from other countries. We probably are already, and you're seeing the sticker prices going up like crazy on these vehicles. As far as the homeowner's insurance is concerned, though, I don't think it's much of an issue. I just don't right now. But
Okay.
that could change. That could change tomorrow. It just depends on what mood the insurance company's in, how much they are concerned about potential losses for the future.
Is that your final answer
It's the finalist answer you're going to get
from you?
on the subject right now. But hey, look, maybe the industry, there's going to be a change in the next 2 weeks. We're going to find out that all of the postal vehicles in the United States are getting retrofitted with solar panels and batteries so that they can idle without wasting gas. Novel idea. So yeah, right now the insurance companies, I think they're not adverse at all to solar technology or battery technology. They absolutely are not. The issue only comes into play when they're having to deal with losses. Really, at the end of the day, what kind of checks are they writing?
Yeah. So the long and short of it is, it's a lot easier for them to collect money than to give it out.
But we've always known that, Greg.
All right. Okay.
Right?
That's it. That's it. We were going to do a short show today. So that's it for this episode of Cut to the Chase.
Wait, I thought I had 9 minutes and 32 seconds of airtime.
No, that is it. Jon Singer.
Okay.
Insurance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. And we will let everybody go and go buy your electric vehicle, get those solar panels on, and away we go. So,
and should I give out a shameless plug for myself?
Yes, of course. But remember, I'm going to put you in the show notes. So there's going to be
then you can put me in the show notes. You could edit this out then and just say.
Yeah, no, they'll have the link. Everybody. So if you want to talk to Jon, like let's say you have insurance and you want a second opinion for free, a quote, whatever, you can talk to this guy. You don't, you're just getting you're getting out from under your parents or whatever, call this guy. Your insurance agent doesn't call you back, your insurance company, whatever, call this guy, call Jon Singer. Okay. And how are you going to find out his information? You got to listen to my show. You got to go to the show notes, and that's it. All right. We are done, Mr. Singer.
Thank you for having me.
All right, everybody. That's it for this episode of Cut to the Chase. subscribe. You got to go to Apple Podcasts, get to the show, cut to the chase, drop all the way down, subscribe, rate, review 5 stars, maybe 4, because, you know, 5. There's 4 fingers, there's 5. I'll go with the 5-finger hand. Okay. And comment, question, whatever you want. Okay. That's it. Everybody have a good day. Take care, John.
Bye-bye.